English is not my first language, and writing was terrifying back then for me because growing up, I didn't have a good mentor or teachers who support me in writing. Most of the time, what I write, what I learn about writing is through experience. What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Kiiza, let me ask you a question, man. How's your day been?
It's been a fantastic day. How about yourself?
It's been a good day, man. So today we're going to talk about the power of newsletters. Why should you start the newsletters? Why is newsletter is important for you? And if you're a business owner, if you're a student, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably have so many ideas that you want to put out there for people to probably see and do business with you. But what kind of medium that you can use that allows you to thoughtfully produce good content? You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on Instagram. You can do it on Facebook, but also you can do it as the newsletters. Warren Buffett has multi-billion-dollar with his only newsletters. He doesn't have Twitter, Facebook, but he can still build a lot of value out of his business. So that's an example that I want to give you. And today we're going to dive into why you need the newsletters and why we encourage you to start one.
So for all of you out there who don't have newsletters, always keep in mind that connecting with your audience is key. And we're going to dive into more about the power of newsletters right now. So get your notebook out, get your pen out, get ready to take notes, and ultimately take action. So Ricky, starting with the power of newsletters, what do you think is the number one thing people need to understand when they start approaching the idea of writing a newsletter, whether it's for their personal use or for their business?
The first thing is just write, right? English is not my first language, and writing was terrifying back then for me because growing up, I didn't have a good mentor or teachers who support me in writing. Most of the time, what I write, what I learn about writing is through experience or doing it and failing. And most of the time when you're in high school, you receive bad grades from writing and you feel like, wow, this is not for me. Maybe soccer was for me or math was for me, but not writing. Until I realized, or I learned from one of my friends, that you can actually just start your own journal and start writing. And it doesn't matter who's going to grade you. The more you write, the better you get, the more that you can structure your thought and explaining things to people. What's your question again, man? I forgot.
You hit it right on the head. I was asking, what is the most important thing people need to know when they're approaching a newsletter, whether it's for their personal use or for a business? And you really gave us a major takeaway. The first thing they need to remember is they just have to get writing.
Yes, get writing. Start putting words everywhere around them. Find a piece of paper, find a notebook, find a tablet, find a wall. Don't write on the wall because you're going to get in trouble. But learn to comprehend the world around you through words. And it's more like a mindset, right? If you develop that mindset that I want to get everything, I want to try to explain everything in my own terms, suddenly you are actually contributing your point of view to the pool of knowledge, contributing your point of view to the world where a lot of things cannot be explained.
Getting those ideas out there, getting your thoughts out there, explaining things and practicing that is really what you're talking about. As Ricky knows, I do enjoy drawing. So creating images, mind maps, spider diagrams, and things of that nature have always helped me to get my thoughts out. But I'm realizing more and more that when you write your words out, whether it's in a newsletter or in a journal, it does give you the opportunity to structure them differently. So those are the different kinds of ways that I write.
Yeah. If you have a journal, if you have written a paper, you have a journal, if you have notes around you, they can be rebuilt into the newsletters that you can use to send it to your friends, families, people that you know to get started. I told one of my friends, he's in a plant biology major. I told him, hey, just pull out all of your writing in college and just put it into Substack, which is a great platform for you to start your newsletters, and just hit the publish. I don't know what's going to happen. Will he get in trouble? We don't know. But I get to read a lot of his writing, which is really cool about plant and biology.
Well, at the end of the day, taking action, right? You encourage your friend to put his notes out there. And in your own case, you are always willing to write and get your ideas out there. So now that we've explained the idea of writing as the first step, get writing, get your ideas flowing. For somebody who's new to newsletters, business owner or personal individual, what's the next challenge that they normally have to overcome when they begin writing? What's the next thing that they should anticipate and maybe even look forward to when they're making their newsletter?
This challenge I run in all the time. They call it the writer's block.
Writer's block. So how did you overcome writer's block?
Have you ever seen a bull that is running without his eyes open? Or you watch a soccer game, you see like this one player just keep running, or Marshall Lynch, the running back for the former running back for Seattle. All he does is just keep running and just banging, no matter what, no matter how many things that blocks him. You think about writing, right? So when you open a piece of paper, or you're trying to open a software like Google Docs or Word documents, and you see like in front of you is the cursor that is beeping, 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 and you start writing. That moment when you start doing it, a lot of us is running through, okay, I messed up my words. My grammar is messed up. And my punctuation is all over the place. Oh, I have to hit the backspace. Oh, I cannot write. Oh, I give up. Okay, so if that's going with you, here's my strategy that I've been using myself that helped me overcome that. Literally, I would close my eyes and start typing. Whatever that comes into my thoughts, I let it flow through into my keyboard, or you can just look down at your keyboard and forget about what's being typed out there on the screen. Why does it benefit you? Well, that practice allows you to process your thoughts and trusting your hands to produce the result. A lot of the time, we don't even trust ourselves to do things. You want to learn how to trust your hands, putting the words out there and letting it flow naturally. Like a Picasso, you know, when he draw, this guy just like one single stroke and he has the whole bull.
I was going to say, you really hit on a great point there. In fact, I'm going to erase one thing here so that we can highlight what you just described. The solution to writer's block sounds like writing in flow, right? Close your eyes and flow, right?
Yeah. You need to learn how to flow naturally with the actions that you're doing.
That's the phrasing right there. Flow naturally. So for those of you out there who are trying to get into the newsletter game or are just new to writing from scratch, to overcome your writer's block, the anxiety, the nervousness, the unknown, you just have to write in flow. When you flow into your writing, it gives you the opportunity to overcome the friction of creating or putting your ideas out there on paper. Let me just write this down. Flow with your writing. Well, interestingly enough, I think you got a very early exposure to writing, and that gives you the ability to frame your ideas in a way that is unique. Like the fact that you're so comfortable, whether it's journaling, writing newsletters, blog articles, and the likes, I think the ability for you to express your ideas in written form gives you a huge leg up, because a lot of the time, that's the way that information is consumed. In my case, I was exposed to drawing because I actually preferred to draw. So I preferred to express my ideas as images. So because of that, it was just sort of a natural inclination. And of course, I was surrounded by people who like to draw as well. So that helped as well. But that was basically my introduction to it.
Right. And when you draw, do you just draw anything that comes out of your head? It's like, I see the picture, I put it down like that.
Well, strangely enough, it really depends. I feel like drawing similar to writing. Like, for example, in your case, when you're writing a newsletter or writing a journal article entry, there's a level of observation that you go through, right? Understanding what's kind of motivating that writing, whether you're putting down ideas that are like something that's happened in the day, or you're writing something specifically for an intended audience or a reader. I have the same kind of experience when I'm creating an image. Normally, if I'm writing an image, drawing an image just from my imagination, it'll probably be based off of something that's influenced me during the day. Like if I saw a strange looking bug, maybe I'll be influenced by that. But if I'm drawing for a purpose to let me say, convey a specific idea to a specific person, then of course there's that similar motivation. I'm trying to understand what image would resonate with the person who's going to eventually see it. Like, for example, I always used to draw like on birthday cards instead of writing thank yous because I didn't know what words to say. So instead I would make images of smiling faces and cake and ice cream and, candles and stuff like that. So, and that was the context. I was trying to convey feeling of a fun birthday.
Amazing, amazing. Oh, you should send me some of your new drawings, man. Some of your old ones is pretty good.
Newsletters does have some communication barriers, I suppose, because an image does kind of can express 1,000 words, as they say, but sometimes that image can mean so many different things to different people. But when you say the word water, everybody knows what water is. But if you just do this, you draw like a cup and you fill it with like that, people are like, okay, so is this a mini pool? Is this, there could be so many different things. So the fact that you're able to convey your ideas in writing, in text form, I think is a huge advantage, especially for people who are trying to get into tap into their own ability to write, whether it's a newsletter or something of the kind.
Yeah, one of the great writing exercises that I learned, it's from a book that I read, but I don't remember what book it was, is that they teach you how to be I remember. The book's called Visual Intelligence. What it means is that every time that you see a picture, can you try to explain it in words? Literally, you can do this exercise on Google like crazy. Like you can just open up Google Images and then you just pick like 1 or 2 pictures and then you tell somebody and you trying to explain to that person the picture, what's in the picture, and the person cannot see it yet. And then you will let the person see what you explained that picture and ask them how much percentage of the picture that I explained to you sounds like in your what your imagine is. Even like talking about that concept is challenging for me.
And that's the thing about expressing ideas. Sometimes it's not always easy to put them in a concise way. And I have the same challenge, like whether I'm speaking, writing, or drawing. But I find like one of the easiest ways to make our words more concise or whatever information we're trying to communicate is to have an intended action, or let's call it a call to action even. Like, for example, you're right, Ricky. When I write and draw at the same time, it becomes challenging. Call to action. And by call to action, that's really just like an intention, right? So if my intention was to tell you how I feel when I draw, I could begin by saying, imagine you're running down the soccer pitch and you're just completely focused on the ball and your goal to score. Everything starts to melt away. Your focus zeroes in. Whether it's the defense or your own team members, they all become a part of your senses, and you're not even worried about the rules of the game, the ref, whether your shoelaces are tied. You just become focused on that specific objective. You want to score, and everything comes together to help you do that, both your team members and even the opposing side. I have that same experience when I draw. Things melt away. I'm trying to create, let's say, a cat, and all I want to know is how am I going to get this cat to come alive on this piece of paper? So ultimately, whether you're writing a newsletter or not, having that intention, having the action you want to be as the end result, whether you're scoring a goal or trying to make a picture look like a cat, will allow you to bring your words together and make them more concise, because now there's an action at the end, or there's an intention that guides it.
So, well, if you have a newsletters, if you haven't have a newsletters, and you want to learn how to write a newsletters, make sure that you follow the Thai newsletters.
Don't forget, if you're stuck, get writing. If you're blocked, flow with your writing. And if you can't find the words, remember your call to action. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.